luxury day boating with all your mates. How we utilise all the available space for entertaining and enjoyment. G'day guys, and welcome to Aotearoa, New Zealand on Lake Wakatipu. I'm on the Sea Ray 320 Sundancer, and I'm pleased to announce that Sea Ray is back. Dan Jones is my name. Welcome to Dan's Boat Life. This is a walkthrough of the Sea Ray 320 Sundancer. We're going to start from the stern and walk all the way through to the bow and take you through to the interior. If you stay to the end, we're also going to go through the engine bay. I'm pretty excited about this because Sea Ray have been top of the pops for decades. They dominated the day boat scene in Sydney for a long time. And then they had a bit of a lull. I think they got a bit distracted by some of their bigger boats. I honestly have no idea. But in recent times, they've come back with some awesome product, and they're clearly refocusing on their core market, which is you and me, day boaters who like a little bit of luxury. And they just do a good job. They build a great product. So I'm excited to bring that to you today. Anyway, come on out to the back of the boat. Let's just get cracking. There really is no excuses not to go boating. It is midwinter. I hope you could see that's snow. That's not sand. That's snow on the top of those bloody mountains up there. And we're having a great time. The sun is stunning. This boat has been customised for a little bit of all-weather boating. We have a heater on this thing, but obviously you can do air conditioning as well. And so, you know, skiing in the morning and boating in the afternoon or vice versa is absolutely possible, and I want to encourage that sort of thing. So get out here and we'll check out this this swim platform. This is the fixed swim platform. We've got teak all the way out to the back, and she's, you know, over a metre wide. But I want you to pay attention to this sun lounging area, because this is going to be interesting in a second when we get there. You can see this particular owner has put the stainless steel transom bar. He's got a fish cutting board with a couple of rod holders, and so this facilitates his tender davit system. This is something we do in Australia and New Zealand a lot. Clip the tender in there, and then it folds up like so. On the port side just here, we've got access to your shore power, town water, a little bit of storage for lines and breakers for the main breakers for shore power in there. We've got some fusion speakers out the back of the boat, so you can pump some sound out here. So if you're having a nice lake day, as you would here, you could throw the floaty toys in the water and everyone can have a good time. Nice Sea Ray embossed stainless steel cleats on both sides, and this sun lounge in the current mode. So this would be great as an observer's seat, you know, if you were towing a biscuit, for example, or just doing this. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm in awe of this scenery. It's absolutely amazing. So that's its first function. Its next function is as storage. So your fender and rope storage is in here, and both of these will lift up. So if you've got someone on the sun lounge, you can just tell them to move over, and you can still get to your fenders and lines. That's the perfect spot for storing that. But whilst, now, can you see all that? Maybe move back a little bit, Mitch. I want you to get this. Whilst you're there, you can just operate this lever. Check that out. That's awesome. That's just a sensible, clever solution to open this space up and make it that more enjoyable. So now you can get multiple people chilling on this side. You can lounge like so if you wish, if you want to catch a little bit of sun. And then if you want to turn it back into lunch mode, when it is time to sit down for a meal, you just lock it back into place just there. I think that's really clever and it's good to see. Anyway, before I get there, we got diesel in, which is going to be for the heater and possibly genset. Then we got gas, which means petrol. And then I'm not sure what this one is. It's not marked, so something else just there. Another stainless steel cleat. That's the second speaker I was talking about. And here is the hot and cold swim shower. Nicely done in stainless. That's a high quality piece of kit just there. That is going to be the theme with Sea Ray. A lot of manufacturers from America, to be fair, spend extra money on all their fixtures and fittings, so your boat's just going to last that little bit longer. I've got a stainless cowling downlight just here, and that's carrying through the cockpit. Kid and doggy door, pretty small, but that's all you need. Just going to stop things and small people rolling out of the boat when you're underway. This boat's been optioned with the teak. So this is real teak with black caulking, and that's going through the cockpit, and it creates like quite a nice warm feel, gives you some extra grip underfoot as well. Now we do have an extra cleat here. So whilst we have the cleats back here, we got another cleat here. So that might be useful for tying up at the dock. And then we have a drink holder here, which I noticed was illuminated in a blue backlighting as well. So just going through the seating area here, this, I didn't lock that in. Anyway, this is what it's all about. It's luxury day boating with all your mates. So you could fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people easily, and maybe more if there was kids in this area. And you could still got space to transit through. So if people are going to the loo, or if they're going to the bow, or if they've been on the stern, the whole layout really works from a social operational perspective, which is what I like. So you can have people chilling here, people up in the bow, and people here all doing their thing, conversing with one another. You've got a clear line of sight forward and aft, and we've got a wonderful amount of protection from the sun and the wind, which we're going to get to in a second. But underneath me here, here, and here, it's all storage, quite deep and nicely lined on the inside. And this table here will manually drop down with a cushion that matches this nice stitched leather to create an even larger day bed just here in the middle of the boat. So, just focusing on the starboard side as we make our way forward, this is like your little mini bar area. This pops up. That's an electric Kenyan Barbie, pretty small. A lot of the American boats do small Barbies, but it'll do. But you may, if you've got a big group, you might have to cook in 2 goes. A deep sink. That's a little stainless steel sink. I think that's cold water only by the look of that mixer tap, but I can't tell. And then a 240 outlet just there. That is the electric hatch lift, I would say, for the engine bay, which we'll get to later in the video. Little bin just there. First fridge just here, and that's got a little freezer drawer in it as well. Just here is the outlet for one of the outlets for the heater. And it's worth noting as I enter, this is the aft line of where the fiberglass roof finishes. So this particular owner has extended the roof out to here, and he's got these wonderful clears that go all the way around and really make it an all-weather situation. He's obviously concerned about heating. You could do the same for cooling, depending on what part of the world you are in. But this is where the actual structure of the roof finishes. So everyone from here forward is going to be protected from the roof. And then if you had the triangular clears, the wind is going to protect everybody here as well. We've got some leather-lined ceiling here, and 2 downlights going down, so you can illuminate the table if you're eating after dark. So I want to just talk about there and there. So Mitch, why don't you now pop over there and try and get some of these beautiful mountain views in as you do it, because I think everyone else is going to hopefully appreciate it as much as me. Stainless steel grab rails going around here. I'd say they might have a dual function for holding up that table as well. Quite comfy, nice little bit of lower back support, and you can rest your arms up here. But this will also go like that. So that then becomes a super nice running spot from when you're underway, and you can still converse with the skipper and navigator when you're underway, and all your mates in the boat as well. Speaker and speaker, so those extra speakers. We've got 2 aft, 2 in the middle. We've got storage underneath here as well. The Fusion stereo is mounted under there and just a little bit of storage for bits and pieces. You can see this particular owner has installed a TV there, so you can watch TV from relaxing on your big sofa just there. That's kind of cool. So now when we enter this part of the boat, the roof line from here goes up. So it goes up about 2 inches. So for the tall blokes, you are actually going to increase your head height in this part of the boat, including at the helm. You can see here and here, this particular owner has added 2 more opening hatches. For the hot summers, that's to get a little bit more extra ventilation as opposed to installing air conditioning, because it's not as necessary down here in New Zealand. So let's focus on the helm before we go forward and check out the bow. Now guys, if you're interested in this boat, we've filmed a test drive video separately to this. So follow the link coming up on the screen, or I'll also leave a link down the video description and check that out. We do take the boat for a drive on the lake, got some nice drone shots, and hopefully you'll learn a thing or two about that. If it's not uploaded, it means I haven't finished editing, so just subscribe and click the bell notification and you'll see it when I'm done. So, here we are. Nice helm seat, stitched leather, soft and comfortable on your bum, and ergonomic in terms of visibility and space. So, first thing worth noting, this lever here allows me to quite easily adjust the whole seat there and there. I've got twin flip-up bolsters, so if your partner wants to be sitting down, but you, the driver, needs to stand up to increase your visibility, you're not going to have to interrupt that person there. I like that. Now, in terms of the ergonomics at the helm, this is a nice armrest just here. That's quite comfortable. So if you were driving distances, you might find that quite relaxing. You can also rest your hand on the Mercury throttle base like that. Just put it in single lever mode if you wished. And then you have a nice, another little armrest aft of the throttle. But I like seeing throttles mounted aft of the wheel because it's a little bit more natural as opposed to having them up here, like on some boats that you see, and you end up getting a sore back if you're driving for too long. So that's cool. You've got a deep storage locker underneath the helm, which is perfect for a safety grab bag. You've got a shallower locker on the starboard side, which would be good for some manuals or folded up charts. You've got a VHF radio just on starboard. The Fireboy manual release is forward of that. And then starting at the dash and moving from starboard to port, first things first, it's a sexy modern dash. They've done a much better job compared to what I used to see on the earlier Sea Rays. It's a real improvement in design and aesthetics. We've got flush screens here, nice sexy buttons, but then flush with things like the Fusion. So that's quite smart. That'll stand the test of time, I reckon. But on the starboard bank of switches, I got windlass, power up and down, wipers, bilge blowers, thruster power, swim platform, batteries, battery parallel, so that's your emergency start. And then you've got your engine start and stops buttons just here. Got Lenco trim tabs on this one, so it's got auto and manual operation. Drink and beer holder just there. Thruster is on starboard, so that's a little bit further forward of the throttles, but you know, if you were operating the thruster, you could use your wheel hand to do that, so that's okay. Wiper operation, washer for the wiper, vents, port and starboard. So what that is, it's like, remember on the old classic cars, your corner window would pop open? Same thing. Pretty cool. That's neat. So yeah, that'll just suck a little bit of air in. So I like that. 2 Simrad flat screen displays. You can pump anything you want through these. So we've got chart and engine diagnostics on it at the moment. You could do radar, you could do cameras, you could do all sorts of stuff. Now the port switch bank just here. Running lights, anchor light, courtesy light, bilge, docking light, underwater light, a lot of lights, accent lights, overhead lights, horn, accessory. High water alarms just here, so bilge and cabin, so that's 2 bilge pumps forward and aft. The flush mounted Fusion system just here, and a second drink holder for the navigator. This is the heater for the Webasto, and this is our chain counter just here for the anchor. Soft furnished leather forward, that's going to stop too much glare going in your face, and it feels a bit nice. And this is a clever little design. So that's just somewhere, throw your phones, and it's got some rubber just there so it won't slide, and it's a little bit of an indent so it's not going to come off the decks, which is cool. Another thing worth noting, this looks like an aluminium frame 3-piece windscreen. It goes full beam. So that's how we utilise all the available space for entertaining and enjoyment. It does mean that you can't get to this cleat very easily, but the solution is you use this bow rail here to hang a fender off that, then you've got cleats there, so you can get fenders out from on board the boat when you're pulling up to a dock, and then you only worry about that cleat when you're tying up at the dock, so it's not the end of the world. And access forward is through this section just here. We'll go downstairs a little bit later. I think we'll go forward and just check that out first. I forgot to mention that drink holder just down there. So we go up 1, 2 steps. You go a little opening door, and this slides, so hopefully you can see that, and it does have a lock. Then as you come through to the bow, you've got a teak grate, which drains any water from the bow. And this is a bow rider. So it's a bow rider with 2 beds downstairs. So what a clever piece of design by Sea Ray to still be able to achieve that, because a lot of bow riders, you sacrifice down below in terms of a loss of space. So they've managed to fit in this design essentially extra features, which is great. And 3 people are going to be super comfy up here. Oh, this is great. Awesome. So I've got a cup holder here and here. I've got a speaker there and there, so you can pump the tunes. You could run, can you run underway? No, I'm going to be in the way of the skipper sitting here if I'm a big bloke. If I was doing this, if I had my head on that's actually quite comfortable. So you could totally run like this. You won't be in the way of the skipper, and this person and that person will be not providing any danger. But this guy's just got to be small or lie down. You've got armrests there and there. What's under here? Oh, what's that? I don't understand. What's that doing? Is that? I have no understanding of what that's supposed to do, so I'm not going to try and explain it. So, courtesy light, teak wrapping forward, and then navigation light here and here. Let's just have a look at the anchor locker. So you can board from the bow on this boat. And, okay, so I've got a quick anchor windlass remote control operation just here. The windlass itself is there, and I've also got the manual release for the clutch. And then if you were at a fixed dock and you wanted to pick people up from the front, you could just open this and let them on and off like so. And then we've got a little bit of access into the chain locker itself here, and you could even store maybe a fender or 2 in there as well. And then I've got a cleat there and there. I think it's time that we go check out the cabin down below. Okay, guys, welcome below. I'm really pleasantly surprised, and I've been a Sea Ray fan. Well, as a matter of fact, my first job in the marine industry as a 17-year-old was washing Sea Rays back in the 90s. So I've been familiar with their fit, finish and design of these interiors since the 90s. And this is a step up. This is really a lift into today's vibe and sort of style, still with a little bit of conservative nature to it, which Sea Ray have always done. So it's going to be something that stands the test of time. You're always going to feel like you're on a boat. And it's just kind of cool, which I'm happy to see. Anyway, let's talk about the ergonomics. They do ergonomics very well, this company. This lounge is incredibly comfortable. It's soft on my bum. It's got a bit of an angle to it. And you can see yourself kicking back and enjoying yourself, for extended periods of time. Like right now, if the weather's changing, I've got beautiful whole windows. I've got a nice ambience with the light. And if I want to set up the table down here and use it, I can. So I have that option. If I need to store things like life jackets or things I don't get to all the time, every single seat around here has storage underneath. If I want natural air, I've got 2 portholes on either side, so let some breeze in. We have the heater on. You can obviously air condition this area as well. Got a TV up here, got blinds which go across each window. And whilst we have these leather finishings here, soft furnishings here, super nice timber on the floor and on the table, they've gone more practical on some of the roof areas. So that's just gel coat. It's rounded. You're not going to hurt yourself if you bang your head on it. And so is this. This just looks like painted fiberglass or gel coat, but it looks good and it's going to last a long time. So that's quite cool. Now, if you want to use this as a bed, it's got a concertina leg just there. The cushions back in the rear of the boat we'll have a look at in a second. And this would be quite a large V-berth. So really good use of the available space. It's a saloon, it's a hangout zone for the kids, it's also a bed. So that's quite cool. But over on the starboard side, we'll have to cut to a shot of this. Your whole panel is here. Your 12 volt and 240 is all here. Your master engine switches for the motors get activated there before you go and turn the boat on at the helm. I've got a fusion control, I've got 12 volt and 240 plug just here, and I've even got another VHF radio by the looks of it just up there. Couple of speakers, few downlights, so yeah, really usable. And see how this opens like that, makes it easy to get out of the table. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go to this little mini kitchen area and have a little chit chat about that. So you sit over there and have a look back here. Notice the stairs. So this is a good design because with these open plans, by just having a stainless steel support and then floating stairs, it gives the place like a feeling of openness. So that's kind of cool. We have another fridge. So this is an isotherm with a little freezer drawer. Got a microwave just here. Got a little deep storage area here. This is good for putting like those coffee machines or like coffee related items. And then lots of storage. So I've got all custom plateware holders, glass holders, and all your picnicware stuff in here. Now, whilst these are on sliders, I note that they've got magnets behind them. So when they close, it's a magnet that holds them into place. Champagne glasses, isn't that cool? That's all proper like picnicware type vibe. So that's very handy. And then we might as well come back in the boat before we finish off with the loo. This is probably the master berth. Like it's massive. It's almost another hangout zone for kids because you can do this sort of thing. Imagine kids playing games down here. Heaps of space, but it's got a trick. So I better show you that straight away. You pull on this. See how that's all moving? Now I want you to pay attention to these backrests here. This backrest and that backrest equal this distance. So when you pull these into the middle, you just slot them down on either side and you've created a massive king size bed. And all of a sudden, when you've done that, come in here, Mitch, I just want to show everyone what's going on here. It creates like a bedroom vibe because you then have really easy access to your storage areas on both sides of the bed and your little opening hanging locker, which you have just here. You've even got a little ledge up here. So we've got strip lighting, we've got some reading lights, and just creates that whole bedroom vibe when the main bed is deployed. And then when it's not, when it's like this, you can't get access to those as readily, but that's not the idea. When it is open, however, you can open up this. I'm supposed to push that across a little bit more. You've got a little central storage area just here. And I just wanted you to see, these are the cushions. So that's an infill for that one just there. And this is the cushion, which goes on the table just up there. Finally, before we move to the head, access to the bilge. It's always great to see boat builders that don't hide that stuff from you. So Sea Ray let you in, and another large panel just there. Before we get to the head, the final bits. Okay, can't open that one. So there's something in there. I'm sure it's an easy fix. 12 volt, 240 volt light switch just here. And then we have to look at this toilet because it's quite fancy. Let's just move forward. So this door is a new vibe for Sea Ray. So this is like a frosted glass, like Perspex material, and then the timber. And then you get into what is quite a nice vibe. It's a vacuum flush head. One thing I want you to understand about vacuum flush heads is it's not really possible for them to smell. It's like a negative pressure tank down inside the engine bay. It's just like on the aeroplanes. When you press on the lever, it just goes and just sucks everything away. And so rather than having salt water sitting and going stagnant and therefore maybe smelling in many other toilet types, these vacuum flush ones are great, and so you rarely get that toilet smell. But we got a decent amount of storage in there. We've got a pull-out shower just here. We've got our normal tap mixer. That one's clearly hot and cold. Got a little towel holder here, small mirrors. That's good for loo roll holders and storage and all that sort of stuff. And then you've got a little holder just here for the shower. When you pull it out, you can fit it in place. Grab handle, another little storage area here, and a shower curtain so your water doesn't go on the door. Okay, I said I'd take you to the engine bay, so welcome. I'm quite familiar with the Sea Ray engine bays, and I've got to say they're keeping up to their high standard of construction, fit and finish down here. Got the beautiful 6.2 Mercs here, so they're going to be a V8 motor through the stern drives, professionally mounted. First things first, I've got the electric worm drive to open the hatch here. That's done electrically. You will note that there's one drain from the cockpit which actually goes into the bilge. So if you see a little bit of water in the bilge in your Sea Rays, that's because any fresh water that makes it into the central part of the cockpit will drain down there. But starting, I guess, from port, and I'll make my way around. On the port side, I've got the Westerbeck Jenny. So that's most likely going to be a petrol Jenny, although it could be diesel. Normally it's a petrol Jenny. You can see the raw water pickup for the Jenny just here. That's the only through hole that I've noticed so far because the motors will take their raw water from the drives. Got the Fireboy system mounted forward, just in the engine bay. The vacuum flush tank for the vacuum flush dunny just here. Then there's a diesel tank just there for the heater. So if you've never seen a heater on a boat before like me, that's what they look like, little rectangular device. Then moving our way back into the centre line, these look like both engine crank batteries, port and starboard, mounted nice and high and away from any flooding risk, which is good. And then you can see the petrol tank, which is an aluminium tank, inside this aluminium framed box, so that's forward and on the centre line, so that's going to be good for the centre of gravity. Bilges, I can see 2 bilge pumps, high water alarm and a regular just down there, so that's good. And then on the port aft quarter of the boat, I can see what looks like house supply, so I got 4 batteries just here, which makes sense. So crank, house, Jenny, so that's all quite sensible. We've got 2 blowers, so 2 blower extractor fans at the back, obviously taking taking the air from the bottom of the engine bay. And then behind me is what looks like power distribution, so that looks like inverter chargers, etc. I'm not much of an electrician, so I can't tell you much more than that. Anyway, access is good, the layout's professional, and what more can you ask for? Okay guys, we're just taking the boat back to the marina, but I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you a little bit about the manoeuvrability of this particular boat. And I thought maybe I'll just sort of use this person's dock as a reference point. So whoever's dock that is, thank you for the permission to use your dock. Anyway, so what I like to do is whenever I'm on a new vessel, I want to, before I approach a fixed dock or a potential risk point, I like to find out what the manoeuvrability of the vessel is like out in the open water. So I'll do something like full lock turn and both engines forward, and I'll just see how the boat behaves and see how much space I need to complete a turn. So I'm doing that, I'm looking at my wash back there, and she's pretty much doing it in about 1.5 boat lengths on this particular boat. And then the first thing I will do is... now, how do I explain this? When I'm going through this turn, my line of sight is like this. It's forward and everything looks safe. But the place that you most commonly crash is back there. Now, I call that your risk point. So the aft most exposed corner of the boat is the one that's swinging out wide like a truck. And that's where you're going to wallop someone. So you want to start your turn and then immediately check your risk point, or hopefully you will have calculated that because you understand your turning circle by doing maneuvers like this before you get into somewhere where you might hit. Next thing, because it's a twin engine boat, I would then take the inboard engine, so the engine on the inside of the circle, out of gear and just give it a little bit more revs of the outboard motor and just see what that does to my turn. And what you should find on most boats, not every boat, but definitely on this one, that's actually going to tighten your turning circle up even more. So that just gives you a feel for what your boat can do in different situations, because then combined with a little bit of skill set, moving the wheel and operating the throttles, you really can discover that you're incredibly capable in tight quarters, close quarters maneuvering on these boats. And with all boat operation and close quarters maneuvering, the end goal should be getting this operation of the controls into what we refer to as your muscle memory. You want to be operating it like you do a manual car. You don't want to be thinking about looking at the controls and which hand should be on which control. So I dial it even down into more detail, like how do I complete the sitting to standing maneuver? How difficult is it? You don't want to discover that in the marina berth, where, you know, for the first time when you're trying to dock the thing up and secure it. So that's just something that's important. Next thing, and it's worth talking about right now, as the wind's just started funneling down the mountain. If you are just standing by and you want to go to a final destination, you want to pick someone up or something like that, what you want to do is prepare the boat before you bring it in. So that could be the ropes, could be fenders, could be your guests. Now, in that process of preparation, you might already be at your destination and you might just have to stand by until the boat's ready. What a lot of people do incorrectly is they point their bow of their motorboat into the wind, and then they sit on the bow thruster. We call them bow thruster bobs, trying to keep their bow into the wind, and it's very stressful. So I don't know if you can see the trees blowing in the background behind me, but the wind has just come up as I'm talking to you, and I'm standing by. And what I have done, because I've got a twin engine boat, I've just centered the drives, and I'm just using one drive at a time, using alternate thrust, going and pretty much holding the boat in position next to matey's dock just there. So that is a way of, in a very relaxed manner, all you need to do as the skipper is assume a sideways stance, or your physical positioning at the helm, so you've got good visibility aft and forward, and then you just work the throttles. And it's a really calm way of just keeping the boat still and steady until you're ready to go and do what you need to do. Next thing is you want to actually try transverse thrust. So whilst you've got those drives centered, you want to do one forward and one reverse. And a good trick to actually think about how this is going to work for you, if you imagine your shoulders like throttles. So if I go like this and this, which way does my body go? And if I go like this, which way does my body go? If you translate that body movement into your throttles, it's actually going to do the same thing on the boat. So I've gone like this right now, and you just watch me, and let's just see how this boat behaves. We do have some wind blowing us, so it's going to be harder one way and easier the other. But what I can do is just adjust the thrust as I see fit to take me through this turn, and I can spin this boat on a dime. So another thing I want to point out to you, see this hand? See how it's not working the throttles? I want you to do the same, because you shouldn't be rushing this maneuver. If you have both hands on the throttles, you're more likely to over rev and go too fast. Remember, we still have mechanical devices that we're trying to manipulate. there's gearboxes and engines that need to rev up and down, do their thing. If you just use one hand, do it nice and steady, and then free up your mental capacity to look around you and have a good situational awareness, you're going to be able to maneuver the boat a lot better. Because at the end of the day, it's probably your mind moving faster than the boat. Because if you're new to it, a lot of things are going to be going on and you might be a little bit nervous in your mind. Whereas if you come out and do this in the open water and practice and practice and practice, it then becomes muscle memory and you just find it's really easy. And what I'm learning right now, this Sea Ray, with the equipment we have on board, you could put it anywhere with the right training, practice and repetition. So I'm not going to actually park, I'm just going to use this as a reference point. I've now activated the bow thruster. So do a test thrust. So I can actually, using a combination of steering and thruster, I've got wind blowing me from left to right here. So this is where you would just keep the boat secure, or you would keep the bow from falling away by tapping up on the thruster. I'm just going to do a simulated back up, and I won't actually go too close because it's a private dock. I don't want them to freak out. But see how the boat's very controllable, and because I have drives, I can even do things like angle the drive and move the boat sideways. So see how I'm actually sliding the boat upwind here? That's because I've turned the drive and I'm complementing it with a little bit of thruster, and that just gives you a feeling for how much maneuverability you have on a boat like this. So you can back it into a pen, you can pull up to a fixed dock, pick up your mates, grab some fish and chips, whatever you need to do, and you can also stand by with windy conditions buffeting the boat, but you can be in full control, relax and enjoy yourself. And why do we do this? We do this to relax and enjoy ourselves. And if you can get this maneuvering down, you will be more inclined and more relaxed to take the boat out with your buddies, and then you just do more boating, and that's why we do this. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you want to see some more content on this boat or others, follow the links coming up on the page right now. My name's Dan Jones. It's been Dan's Boat Life. See you on the next one.